So this is a video about education as it relates to conspiracy theory. Shafe made a video about 10 days ago. Backwoods commented or made a video just yesterday, and I wanted to throw in my 2 cents. And also by way of apology to Shafe. I have, in case the other two of you haven't noticed, I have a strange contrarian bias towards Shafe. I don't know what it is either. I don't know if it's left over from could be this. I could have that college dropout chip on my shoulder. So if I know that a person is college educated, I tend to really focus on what I can pick apart on that individual. But that's the only explanation I can have. I don't know. It's weird. I like Shafe. We've talked to the outside, on the outside, away from YouTube and everything, and I think we'd make good friends. The thing about education and conspiracy, it's really been ongoing for me, and in case I haven't talked about it before, there was this kid named Bobby in my high school, and I actually grew up with him. He was in like elementary school, middle school, and high school, and he eventually dropped out. Just definitely a wild, bad kid, always getting into trouble. Culminated into him getting into big trouble for trying to help his brother escape from jail. Well, time marches on, and eventually he sends me a bunch of messages out of the blue on Facebook, Instant Messenger, about flat earth theory. And I mean, he is into it from what I can tell. I don't know if he's trolling me or if he's really into it. And there are things, it's even, say, like there's parts of flat earth that aren't easily debunked, and then there's other parts that are easily debunked. Like some of the stuff that's not easily debunked, you actually have to say, well, the formula for this is da 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 da, not da 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 da. And I was talking with my buddy Tim, who now he finished college with actually a very awesome mathematical degree. He's got a degree in mechanical engineering. So he sees, he doesn't live, eat, and breathe mechanical engineering. Like, he plays a lot of board games and that sort of shit. But we got to talking about Bobby because apparently he sent that information to Tim also. And Tim was thinking that it's this situation where a person who didn't do all that well in school is presented information in a way that makes sense to them, so they can be like, they can feel that same feeling that, I don't know if you get it or not, but when you're in normal school and you learn a new concept, you really feel a sense of accomplishment. Like you learn the reason for a statistical formula or an algebraic formula, or if geometry really starts clicking, towards the end of the semester, and you get that feeling. I believe that some of these conspiracy people who are getting their information off of these sexy cartoon YouTube videos that simplify things feel that same notion. And I also feel that the entities or the people that produce these videos prey upon that feeling, and it's almost like a dopamine addiction, and it's deliberate, and it does seem to be pinned, perhaps not in all cases, but in many cases, that if you get one conspiracy, you're getting them all. It's a framework of being counter to the status quo. Like it's a bias against it. That it has to do with education or not, I think it has to do with how much faith you have in, say, like the fundamentals, or how your education was in the fundamentals, or if the fundamentals have worked for you. Last weekend, not long after Shafe's video, I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast where he hosted Terrence Howard, and that particular individual had a whole bunch of mathematics and theoretical physics that, from what the experts say, is a bunch of hogwash because the math is just not there. And I watched a lot of those debunking videos, and for me, it's interesting to hear a mathematics person or an educator, taking the time to say, well, no, 1 times 1 can't equal 2 because multiplication means this. And then they actually worked out, so the other big gotcha thing that Terrence Howard had is like the square root cubed equals a certain amount, so therefore this shape. Some of those answers are very interesting, and the flat earth responses, when the scientists or the astrophysicists respond, are interesting to me too. They're like, no, we've measured this, and the formula you actually use is XYZ, and here's why, and no, here's the actual angle, and as you can see, you're actually correct in what you say, but your observation is wrong. The thing about the education is it's there's a graph that's commonly referred to here lately, and it's being used as a buzzword almost by bullies, as the Dunning-Kruger effect, and it has to do with education and confidence. And like when a person has a very low level of education and they feel they understand every single part of the scope of what they're dealing with, they're extremely confident, because like what Shafe was saying, a person is ignorant and doesn't know what they don't know. I've been studying this for a while from a business management standpoint. I've had a bunch of guys work for me, and all levels of skill, and I had this one particular person, and he was not that skilled, hard worker, but he was not that skilled, but his ego was just absolutely off the chain, and I couldn't understand it. So I researched it, and that's when I originally came across that Dunning-Kruger experiment. They got those graphs, and it shows like experience or confidence is on the left, and then experience and education kind of stretches out to the right, and it has like this big heavy peak, like well, in your case, Shafe, like I don't know if you've ever met somebody who just started studying psychology, so they get a few little broad strokes, so next thing you know, they're psychoanalyzing every person in their family, and then later on, a little more humble of a situation comes into play. Now with backwoods, with your engineers and architects for the Twin Tower conspiracy, I know that your people may have those educations, and I've seen like both things to the contrary. What I'd be interested in is put them in a scenario where, I think it was when Jesse Ventura had that conspiracy show, and you took like each point, they took the point by point situation, and as they debunked and showed the science was something else, the person just went on to the next conspiracy. They would never acknowledge, okay, I was incorrect in that, so let me analyze it. I'd be interested to see if the architects for Tower 7 had how they would respond to the same scenario. Because I think a person can become delusional, and being delusional doesn't help. 1 times 1 equals 2 did not make this stupid camera that I'm talking on. You know what I mean? Or the internet that we're sharing an experience on. I'm pretty sure the math and the physics of that had to be solid. Anyway, hope y'all are doing well, and we'll catch y'all later.